in the raw. RK's Guyana Free Media, and I have with me the papers today, ladies and gentlemen. Guyana Chronicle, Friday, May 28th. Now, I normally use the Kaicho News, but the topic is topical and it's good to spread the message around. And this is the Chronicle release, the Sops and the Sops. So this is an interesting case. I need to read this and discuss this as best as I can. Chief Justice rules, says Lowenfield cannot block release of documents, dismisses his application to be party in the case. And you know what? His lawyer knew that. The leader of the opposition knew that. They're lawyers. But they always try to find something to think they can pull wool over the eyes of the court and over the eyes of the people. This is historic because I was there, ladies and gentlemen. I witnessed the madness. And you all know the birth of RK's Guyana Free Media in the raw. Check YouTube, RK's Guyana Free Media. Check YouTube, Facebook, RK's Guyana Free Media. In the raw. And look at all the postings I did and all the presentations. In the raw. RK's Guyana Free Media. And I had to stand up. And I don't care how much abuse and how much manipulation they did with the ERC to try to get them to throw me out or to blow me out and to write the Prime Minister and to write Parliament and try to expel me. All they did get people to protest and write letters from around with their idiotic supporters in the United States and those maniacs in Guyana, some of whom are very beautiful people in Guyana, very beautiful people, but who are maniacs as for political love, did wrong things to try to target and attack me. Now, to the article. By Clystine 1. Chief Justice Acting Roxanne George S.C. on Thursday ordered the release of the certified copies of the statements of poll and statements of recounts from the March 2nd, 2020 general and regional elections to the Commissioner of Police, Nigel Hoppy, the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, Shalimar Ali Haq, and God bless them for trying to do things according to democracy and the rule of law, for the will of the people, for they are the servants of the people. The documents which are currently lodged with the Registrar of the Supreme Court, Suyana Lovell, are needed by the police and DPP for elections-related matters being heard in the magistrate court. There are 2,339 Sops and 2,339 SARs. Ladies and gentlemen, if they were not guilty of skullduggery and thievery, why would they stop it? Why did they not release the Sops and the SARs? The statement of polls and the statement of recounts? Why were they listening to one man who thinks he's a warlord? A maniacal man, mad and hungry for power. Why would Lowenfield think he owns the GCOM Secretariat? That he owns GCOM? And that he could do what he wants? When the man was moving as the election was taking place, and if you saw his power and his tricks and his games and his mouth, and the shameless face he was showing, ladies and gentlemen. I was there. I saw his face. And I saw the conspiracy that he had. Today is a criminal before the court of criminal charges. With the power that he had, all the police behind him who were functioning like puppets. And now we have a real police commissioner. Now we have the people's commissioner. Now we have the people's DPP. Well, she was always the people's DPP. So proud of her. So proud of our Commissioner of Police Department. And those of you who try to harass us, who try to embarrass and humiliate, who is now your Minister of Home Affairs. I found that very amazing that they made him the Minister of Home Affairs to teach some of you the lessons, you recalcitrants, you bullies, who put my guards out of the compound out of sheer wickedness in the rains, and you had no shame to do something like that without even calling us. The power you really thought they would have been in there and you would have ruled forever. Back to the article. In delivering her her ruling on Thursday, the Chief Justice firstly dismissed the application filed by the Chief Elections Officer, Keith Lowenfield, to be listed as an interested party in the case to block the release of the documents. He was objected to. He was blown away. He was thrown out. He was put out. With a put out in the disgrace that he deserves. He manipulated me personally and my tender for twice in 5 years. I could not win the tender in GCOM. Ladies and gentlemen, the man was personally involved in all kinds of tricks and games to put the people around that he would have wanted so he could have controlled them. Be aware, government of Guyana. Be aware, positive members or commissioners of GCOM. Be aware, he is still working to enhance himself and the people whom he wants to give the election to. Back to the article. The Chief Justice noted that while Lowenfield is indeed the sole custodian of the documents, he is merely an agent of the Guyana Elections Commission, GCOM. He is an agent. He is a servant. He is a slave of the people. All of us who are servants, me too. I'm a slave of my class. And he's a slave of his people, of the people of this nation. He's a servant of the land, as I am a servant of my clients. Although the legal custodian of the documents, the CEO, does not have an interest such as to object to the court granting permission for such a release, and the lawyer who gave him that, who is doing it for money, don't care about their name. All kind of ways and some kind of funny things some of these lawyers are to get money and mislead people for money, for fees. If you lose the case, they get paid. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chief Justice said in her decision, to this end, the Chief Justice rejected Lowenfield's arguments. She deemed Lowenfield's contentions as untenable. As untenable. Lowenfield, Mr. Harmon, as untenable. Since the election laws themselves contemplate criminal proceedings too. The Chief Justice further related that Lowenfield in his application did not disclose how he might have been affected by the release of the documents, thinking they'd take a chance and put wool over the Chief Justice's eyes. Well, not this judge. This is a judge of the people. She contended that if Lowenfield was added as an interested party, it would have unnecessarily complicated the legal proceedings. With Lowenfield's application being denied, Justice George granted the application filed by the top cop and the DPP for release of the crucial elections documents and ordered the Registrar of the Supreme Court to photocopy and certify the SOPs and SORs and deliver them to the Attorney General Anil Nandalal, Senior Counsel, within 10 days. Too long, I say, Your Worship, Your Honor, too long. It should have been within 48 hours or 24 hours. That could have been done. And to who? To the Master of Law, the Professor now of Legal Jurisprudence in Guyana and around the world, Anil Nandalal, Mohabir Anil Nandalal. On January 18, 2021, the Chief Justice had ordered that the SORs and the SOPs be lodged with the High Court for safekeeping after she struck out one of the elections petitions that sought to overturn the results of the polls. The request for the documents to be lodged at the court was made by attorneys at law Douglas Mendes, SC, and Kashir Khan, who had informed the court that the Representation of the People's Act allows for the CEO to destroy all elections documents after a 12-month period would have elapsed. And that is what he was going to do if he had his hands on that. That is what he was going to do, knowing this man, the kind of a mentality he had. This is why there was so much of watching of the ballot boxes at the Artichoke Center, ladies and gentlemen, because they were going to put fire into it. This is why they were afraid of us, doing ordinary simple job. They thought we might report them. So they expelled my guards out in the rain. Late at night, a deputy commissioner of police She is no longer in the force. She was forced into retirement. And she has left and gone in degradation and shame. A woman that I personally had great respect and appreciation for. According to Lowenfield, on August 27, 2021, delivered accordingly, Lowenfield on January 27, 2021, delivered the SOPs and SORs to the Registrar of the Supreme Court and with several employees of GCOM before the court for alleged misconduct. During the elections, the DPP had advised and instructed the Guyana Police Force to obtain certified copies of the SOPs and SORs as part of their investigation and gathering of evidence for presentation to the lower court. Persons who are before the court are returning officer for Region 4, Claremont Mingo, a masterminder, a manipulator, a trickster. We have seen what he had done. We had seen what he done in the East Coast. He tried to put the manipulation not in Sophia, not in the regions where their supporters are, but in the East Coast. He tried to make a game of it all. And in the end, it backfired. Persons who are before the court are returning officer for Claremont Mingo, who was charged with 4 counts of misconduct in public office. Lowenfield, who was charged with 3 counts of misconduct in public office and 3 counts of forgery. And Roxanne Myers, Deputy CEO, who was charged with 2 counts of misconduct in public office. I can never forget that woman, ladies and gentlemen. She would insult over 200 international observers comprising of former ministers, prime ministers. They are the Carter Center, the CARICOM, all the leaders of CARICOM, us of the local Guyanese Observership, the Private Sector Commission, the Chamber of Commerce, other international journalists who are here. They try to humiliate all of them by Roxanne Myers, pick up your rubbish and leave. More than once, ladies and gentlemen. Pick up your rubbish and leave. These are the people who educated most of us. My Afro-Guyanese masters and mistresses that I always have respect and kisses for. God bless them, those who, most of all, who have passed away. And she, of that grouping, would use such kind of words when the entire nation and the youths are looking, even maybe her own grandchildren. Pick up your rubbish and leave. It's rude and pompous. Miss Roxanne Myers was rude and pompous. And you all knew why you tried to destroy my business and my life by blocking my tender for security at the GCOM Secretariat. The Commissioner of Police, by common law and statute, particularly Section 50 of the Criminal Law Procedure Act, has the lawful rights to collect and recover all documents and property which are relevant to the investigation and subsequent prosecution. However, Registrar Lowenfield had informed him that she is unable to comply with his request without a court order. Well, that is now passed on. But the DPP and the Commissioner of Police reiterated in their application to the High Court that it is inoperative for them to be afforded access to the official. I beg your pardon, ladies and gentlemen, High Court, that it is imperative for them to be afforded access to the official copies of Sops and SORs. So they are relevant evidence to prove that those charged committed the offense. While the documents can be easily obtained from the political parties, as they are in the public domain, the official documents lodged with the court by GCOM would be best to dispel any doubts as to their authenticity. That is correct, ladies and gentlemen. I want to tell you all something. I did it before. At about 2 o'clock on the night of the elections, they knew that they had lost the election. The APNU AFC knew, and there was tears, there was crying, there was pandemonium, there was fear, and then they went into defense mode of thievery, the clandestine mode of misrepresenting reality, and tried to create a Reuters situation in Guyana, and then begged for an opportunity to have a shared governance when it was obvious that they had lost the election. Friends and families, as I end, if the prosecution does not have these documents, The hearing of the charges instituted will be inordinately delayed because hundreds of witnesses will have to testify in their stead in the charges instituted, causing the case not to be afforded a fair hearing. Within a reasonable time, the DPP wrote in her affidavit in support of the application. And they were told that Lowenfield does not own the SOPS or the SORS. Lowenfield owns nothing except the salary that he does not deserve, that he's being paid by the sweat and blood of the people of this country. Friends and family, your brother me, Haji, Dr. Roshan Khan, in the raw. Release the SOPs and SORS Part 2.